Hello and welcome to Books of Blood. My name is John, and today I've got another book review for you, and this is for the short story collection, and I believe this is the debut collection or the debut period from this author. But anyway, the story collection is called Boarded Windows, Dead Leaves. Let me get that glare off there. There you go. And this is by Jess Alexander. A lot of these stories, I'm going to read the synopsis and then I'll tell you my thoughts on it, because a lot of these stories, if I go too far into telling about them, then they do have twists, and I don't want to spoil those twists, all right? So you have From Cultish Rituals to Cosmic Horror. Jess Alexander's collection of horror fiction will leave you disquieted and unsettled. In Chatterbox, a college professor is haunted by the spirit of a former student. A Profound Impact tells the story of a lost group of people who finally find a place they belong. In Space for Amateurs, a science experiment goes horribly awry. These tales and 6 others await you in this haunting volume of horror fiction. When I was reading these stories, I felt like these are the kind of stories that you would sit down on a winter night, snow falling, ground covered in snow, and you're sitting there by the fire, and as you're reading these stories, you begin and you're nice and warm, but the more you get into them, the colder you begin to feel. And it doesn't matter that there's a fire there. That cold just kind of seeps right into your bones. That's how I felt with these stories. And the thing I love about them is that they're so simplistically told. I mean, he doesn't use fancy speech, doesn't use fancy punctuation or anything like that. He gets in, he tells the story. Sometimes there's a bit of a twist. In fact, in most of these there are. And he gets right back out again. And I love that. So basically that is, in a nutshell, that's my review of this, is that these stories are so, and also he's old school. He doesn't write these, complex plots or anything like that. His stories are old school. They deal with, let's start here. And I won't be giving anything away if I tell you just some of the situation. Werewolf Cemetery, that's got werewolves in it. The Delivery is a vampire story. Warm and Tender is a zombie story. Then you have ghost stories in here. He covers the gamut. He covers the old school monsters, the old school style of horror storytelling. And that's what I loved about it. In fact, the first story, A Profound Impact, is my absolute favorite in this book. When I first read this story, and it's like a 4-page story. And I get to the end of it and I'm like, whoa. It just blew me away, all right? And so I wrote the author yesterday after I finished, and I told him, I said, hey, look, I loved your collection, Boarded Windows, Dead Leaves. I said, would you allow me to read one of your stories here on my channel to my subscribers? And I told him which story I wanted to read, and it is A Profound Impact. And he wrote back and he said, well, let me check on my publisher. He said, I just messaged him, and while we were talking, the publisher came back, and it's Robert Atone, who wrote Her Infernal Nightmare. Robert wrote back, yes, you can do that. So great. So what I want to do is, this is kind of my way of, I want you to read this book, and I'm going to read this story to you, and hopefully you'll sit there and go, you know what? I want to read more of this author. I want to read more stories by this author. So right now I am going to read the story of Profound Impact, and if I don't read it correctly, blame me, okay? don't blame the story itself. The story is great. So, and I will do my best, all right? That's the best I can do. So you guys have heard me read stuff before, so hopefully you will like this. So let's begin, all right? A profound impact. In the glow of the harvest moon, I'm joined on my walk by all the members of my family, connected not by blood, which is arbitrary, but by belief, which is the most tenacious bond there is. I stop to inhale, filling my lungs with brisk autumn air. The mingled scents of the various flora please me. I turn to Claudia. The unmistakable sincerity of her smile touches me. Lovelies, I say, resuming my step, there is perhaps no more contentious disagreement than that over what happens when one dies. For as long as man has appreciated the impermanence of his life on earth, he has found incompatibility in his and his neighbor's understanding of the afterlife. I furrow my brow. A growing number even believe that non-existence is all that awaits us upon death. Lies, the lovelies exclaim. Yes, I say, nodding. You, I motion to the group with an open hand, have accepted the truth that no one else will know. Elijah, someone from behind me calls out. I recognize the voice as Joel's. Yes, Joel. Please tell us again how you came to the truth. All right, I say. Years ago, as I contemplated the most important of questions, what happens when we die, I enjoyed what I thought for some time was a profound, radical insight. I realized that while living existence is one wherein the will of the individual is restricted by the laws of nature, existence after death is not hindered in this way, and that whatever a soul imagines manifests as reality. You can't just will the destruction of your enemy. You need to make it happen, Thaddeus blurts out. That's correct, Thaddeus. That much, anyway. As you all know, considerable further thought not only allowed me to realize that I was mistaken about the afterlife, but also carried me to the indisputable truth. Were you ashamed for being wrong? Thaddeus and Esther holler and sing-song. No, I was not, I affirm. Most people would suffer great shame upon realizing that their most deeply held belief was incorrect. But this was not at all how I felt in that moment. I immediately understood that my erroneous belief was a necessary step on the path to divine revelation. We arrive at our destination, and I turn to face my family. Ours is the one true religion, my lovelies. As I look upon them, I recognize that no one else will ever know our truth, and that ignorance will reign for as long as the wretched continue to reproduce. The sad fact that most people would be denied entry into paradise plagued me for the longest time, but finally, I'm able to let it go. We, the blessed, the chosen, those with eyes wide open, will show the world, not in cruelty, but unavoidable necessity, its utmost mistake in rejecting the truth. I approach Claudia and gently place my hand on her cheek. In her eyes, I see that she is ready. I take her hands and with love, I'm bursting with pure joy, lower her down to the ground. I take a moment to admire her blue eyes, which contrast so strikingly with her heavily freckled face. I turn to Jonah, and we grin at each other like loving brothers reunited after a lengthy separation. I bring my hand to his cheek and see that he too is ready. Easing him down next to Claudia, I have to suppress the desire to shout in excitement. Despite being more blissful than ever before, I realize that such an uncontrolled expression would be unbefitting this moment of most consequence. Fulfilling my duty as the shepherd of my flock, I tenderly place the remainder, Lydia, Tabitha, Thaddeus, Abigail, Joel, and Esther, in their places, shoulder to shoulder, backs to the ground. I then confidently, eagerly take my own place at the end next to Claudia, where I will be able to ever so briefly appreciate the ascension to paradise of each of my kindred. I close my eyes and smile, pleased by the timely whistle of the coming train. And that was A Profound Impact. That is by Michael Jess Alexander. I told him I would give him credit for sure in this, and I will also give him credit in the description below. And that is my reading of it. And if you like the story, I hope you'll go out and you'll want to read more of his stories. Like I said, I give this book a 5-star rating. It deserves it. And the guy, like I said, this is his debut. He deserves more readers because this was just absolutely awesome to me. So anyway, that is my review and my reading. I'm going to post this on Wednesday afternoon. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you like it. And until then, stay safe out there and take care. Bye-bye.